My boyfriend looked up spoilers to our favorite video game, so I did, too, by user Soccer Girl. My boyfriend and I play Zelda, Breath of the Wild together. I am a take your time and enjoy the ride kind of gal, while he is a let's look up how to beat this game right now kind of guy. Because his way ruins all the fun, we came up with a rule. No looking up spoilers. We were looking for a particular challenge, the 8 heroine side quest for my fellow Zelda nerds, for a very long time. Suddenly, my boyfriend said, "I did something bad." I looked up where to go. "I'm so sorry. I just couldn't take it anymore." I told him it was fine but that he could not tell me what he had seen. He agreed. I then excused myself to the bathroom and looked up the location as well. I then spent the next hour and a half wandering so close to the location without ever making it there. I could see him squirming around in his seat every time I got close. When I jumped off the cliff the statue was built into, gliding down to the base of the statue and continuing on without turning around to look at it, I thought he was going to explode. He was clenching his hair in both fists and biting his lower lip trying to contain himself. That's when I caved and told him what I had done. He thought it was hilarious and told me about how he wanted more than anything to yell "turn around. What are you doing?" We had a good laugh about it. He hasn't looked up a spoiler since. Neighbors used my property as their own. Paid for new fence, by user Odiopet3281. I recently bought a house and have been having some work done before I move in. It was empty on the market for about 6 or 8 months before I bought it. One morning I got a call from my contractor, asking me about moving the cars in the driveway, and of course I had no idea what he was talking about. I hadn't moved in yet. I left my job site and drove nearly a half hour to get there. As soon as I arrived, the people on the east side of me were walking toward the cars. I asked if they were their cars and they said yes. They told me that they had been parking there for a few months with permission from the owners. I informed them that I was the new owner and they can't park there any longer. We went back and forth, and with the intention of being a good neighbor and trying to show some goodwill, I agreed to allow them to park there for a few more weeks until I move in, with the agreement that they would move them by 6 a.m. every morning. The rest of the week went by without incident. The contractor called me about scheduling a walkthrough on Saturday, and we set a time for early afternoon. When I arrived, there were 4 cars in the driveway, and nowhere to park. The only on-street parking is 2 blocks away. I called them and asked them to move their vehicles, reminding them of our agreement. After 20 minutes, they finally came out and moved them. Speaking with them, they claimed to have misunderstood and thought our agreement only referred to weekdays and not weekends. I corrected them and moved on. Sunday morning, I grabbed a trailer and loaded some furniture to take over and store in the garage. Once again, there were cars in the driveway. I called them and got VM. I texted and said they had until a tow truck could arrive, to get them moved. No answer. I called a tow company. 45 minutes later, 2 tow trucks showed up, backed in and hooked up to the cars. All of a sudden, the neighbors were home. They ran out to stop their cars from being towed, and it ended up costing them a little over $300 to get them unhooked. I called my contractor and asked if he knew someone who could put in a driveway gate, and he did. I let the neighbors know that they could no longer use my driveway. On Wednesday, I get a call from the gate installer, telling me that there are cars in the driveway. I called them and said tow trucks are on the way. They moved. The gate was installed and I went by to pick up the opener that evening. The neighbor husband came out to confront me, and I opted to just call the PD, and deal with it legally. That Saturday, I went by to accept an outdoor furniture delivery, and check on things when I noticed a towel beside the pool and a small kid's flotation device. My initial thought was that I just hadn't noticed it before, so I wrote it off and threw them both in the trash. On Saturday, the movers arrived with everything and we began moving things in. About 7 p.m., my daughter and I left to go grab some dinner, arriving back at the house around 9:30 p.m. The neighbors were in my pool. They were hanging out and using my furniture. When I opened the door and began raising hell, they told the kids to go to the house and the children ran to a corner of our fence and just walked through. They had cut out the privacy fence so it could be removed and had been using the pool at their leisure for who knows how long. Again, I called the police and filed a complaint. The dad was arrested for trespassing, DPP, and an outstanding warrant, and the oldest boy, 20M, for an outstanding warrant. I replaced the fence with a new one, because they had destroyed the posts, runners, and pickets by removing and reinstalling the panel. Small Claims awarded me the total cost of 83 of 8 privacy fence, which came out to $3,800. The following Monday morning around 5 a.m., their cars were parked in the street, where there's no street parking, so I made a phone call. They were gone when I left at 7 a.m. I haven't been paid yet, but I did notice a for rent sign in their yard this morning, so that's just as good. Good riddance. Edit/update. 1. For those of you suggesting a security system, one was installed that next week, along with 6 cameras around the house, a Ring doorbell, and a fence around the pool itself to keep the dogs and my grandson out of it. I'll be closing and covering the pool in the next few weeks. Met the owner of the house yesterday evening. The house will be empty by the end of the week. They were evicted for non-payment of rent, likely due to tow charges, and the husband not working because he was incarcerated, where he remains. Warrant was for back child support. Wife apologized and claimed that she was told they had permission to use the pool, they didn't. The material for the fence was purchased through my company account. I'm a structural engineer and commercial construction manager for a large local GC. Only 2 posts had to be replaced and a handful of runners. The rest was just 8 1x6 1/2 pressure treated pickets, which cost me $2.60 per stick, x 210 pickets purchased. The rest was labor and fasteners. So, altogether, about $900 for material and stain. $150 for a dumpster, and the rest went toward labor to finish it on a weekend. Fun fact, I'm also a property investor/flipper. Been in construction, commercial, civil, industrial, and residential, for 35 years. Not my first fence, nor my first asshole neighbor. Before the paint experts jump on board, I know how long I have to wait before pressure washing and staining the fence. TLDR, neighbors at new house used my driveway, and destroyed my backyard fence to use the pool. Sued them and won. Had their cars towed, and now they're being evicted for non-payment of rent. XBF cheated on me, so I put frogs in his house, by user Keensiton96. The headline pretty much says it all, but I'll add some context. When I was about 20, I was dating a guy that wasn't great. He was emotionally and physically abusive to me, and intentionally got me pregnant, causing me to have to terminate that pregnancy. So he put me through a lot of unnecessary trauma. Eventually I found out he was cheating on me with not 1, not 2, not even 3, but 5 different women. I was beyond furious and knew I didn't want to sleep with his gross friends. As revenge, I had to take this a step further. Knowing he had a huge fear of amphibians of any kind, my best friend and I went to a local park and collected some frogs. I still had a key to his apartment, so we drove over there while he was at work, released the frogs, and left. The next day, I felt bad for the frogs, so I decided to go back and get them to return them to the park. I called him to see if he was home, and unfortunately, he was. He thought I was calling to have a heart-to-heart and was pouring his heart out, stating how bad he felt and of course I could come over. Sucker thought he was getting make-up sex. I was simply trying to collect my frog friends. Anyways, I go over to his apartment, let him continue his little guilt-fused apology/rant, and when he finished, I calmly asked, "That's great, but have you seen the frogs?" He got dead quiet and said, "What frogs?" And I told him, "The ones I put over here while you were at work the other day. You haven't seen them yet." When I tell you, I haven't seen a grown man jump up from a bed so fast in panic mode, I had to laugh. Right as I could tell he knew I was being serious, a frog jumped out of his closet. I said, "Oh, there's one." And he screamed bloody murder, ran out of the house, and called his mom. Yelled at me he was not coming back in until I removed the frogs. I did, but I took my time doing so. When I left, he was sitting on the bottom steps, shaking and still on the phone with his mom, wailing, "I can't believe she would do this to me." I turned around and said, "I can." And then, I left. Don't drink my soda. Well, I did warn you, by user Spinaneserethi best. A long time ago, I was washing dishes in a Denny's restaurant. As dishwashers, we were allowed 1 soda per shift. My work partner and I kept our sodas on a little shelf near where the busboys would put the full tubs of dishes. One of them thought it was funny to put down the bus tub, pick up our soda and drink half of it, put it back on the shelf and run away laughing. I asked him not to do it several times. He kept doing it. But instead of getting mad, I got even. Restaurants buy cases of frozen steaks, and set them out to thaw in big stainless steel tubs. After all the steaks are taken out and cooked, there is usually a 1/4 inch of blood with miscellaneous bits in it left in the bottom of the pan. I grabbed a glass out of the bus tub that had ice in it, poured it full of old cow blood, added a straw and put it in the usual spot. Same guy comes running back with a tub of dishes, puts it down and grabbed the glass. I yell across the kitchen at him, "Don't drink that." And he just laughed at me and chugged about half of it, like he usually did. He got a real funny look on his face, and asked me, "What was that? Cow blood? Want some more?" I replied and tipped the pan up so he could see the cascade of grisly bits and old blood running to the bottom. He headed straight for the nearest trash can, and I think he threw up everything he had eaten in the last week. Took him about 10 minutes. On the bright side, the bus boys quit drinking our sodas after that. Dentist office wouldn't stop calling me, by user Viper threat. The setup here is pretty simple. Some woman named Bella gave a dental office my phone number, which resulted in me getting hundreds of voicemails and text messages about her dental treatment. I assume she was British or something. Multiple calls to the dental office didn't seem to help the problem. I was told they would fix it at least a dozen times, but they never did. At the time, the call/text blocker on my phone wouldn't work right, and I didn't want to buy a new phone just to stop getting their texts and calls. One day in particular, after ignoring 4 calls before 8 a.m. from the clinic, I finally reached my breaking point, so when the 5th call came in, I answered. "Dentist, hi, is this Bella?" "Me, no, this is Bella's husband. Bella is currently unavailable, what can I do for you?" "Dentist, I'm just calling to confirm her dentist appointment for XX/XX. "Me, oh, he can't make that, he's scheduled for a gender reassignment surgery that day." "Dentist, I see, would you like to reschedule?" "Me, we'll call you once we figure out Bella's availability." The following year-ish, was much of the same, them calling or texting me to confirm appointments, and me giving increasingly outrageous medical reasons for cancelling. You'd figure the 4th gender reassignment surgery, 2nd brain transplant, or the 3rd circumcision might have given them the hint, but the calls and texts only seemed to grow more frequent, much to my joy. They did eventually figure it out, and called me to chew me out. "Dentist, hi, is Bella available?" "Me, no, this is her husband speaking, what can I do for you?" "Dentist, I know you aren't her husband, who are you?" "Me, how do you know I'm not Bella's husband?" "Dentist, Bella says she isn't married." "Who are you?" "Me, you called me, who do you think I am?" "Dentist, why have you been cancelling Bella's appointments?" "Me, why have you been calling me about Bella's appointments?" "Dentist, this is Bella's phone number." "Me, you just called that number right?" "Dentist, yes." "Me, did Bella answer?" "Dentist, no." "Me, so is this Bella's number?" "Dentist. Dentist, but why have you been cancelling her appointments?" "Me, I figured I was doing her a favor." "Dentist, how so?" "Me, you've been calling me for over 2 years now, despite my repeated and numerous requests that you stop. I figure that if you are so unprofessional that you can't even fix a single phone number in your system, she's probably better off with a different dentist." "Dentist, you think this is funny?" "Me, honestly, at first it was irritating, but now it's the highlight of my day." "Dentist, you've been screwing with somebody's health, you know that, right? That's illegal." "Me, you may want to stick to receptionist, you make a bad lawyer." "Dentist, what do you know about the law?" "Me, enough to know that the medical information you've been sending me about your client is a clear violation of HIPAA. "Dentist, oh. "Me, so yeah, sorry, Bella can't make it to her dentist appointment next week, she's getting plastic surgery to have her fingers webbed." Funny enough, the call stopped after that.